Hey girl. So I know it was a Valentine's Day a few days ago. And Valentine's Day can be really hard. I don't care if you're just like one of those super single people like myself, just happily proud being single. Certain holidays, certain events can be triggering when it comes to being single and can make you get all the feels and make you feel like you in a relationship. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit today. Just about those feelings, just confronting those feelings head on. And, I'm not, let me just go ahead and say, I'm not one of those people that's just like super advocate for being single or super advocate for relationships or advocate for marriage. I'm not an advocate for anything but happiness and being content in the space that you are in at the moment. I'm really a firm believer in whatever space you're in, which I've been in the single space for about 10 years now, a little over 10 years. And I was also married. And when I was in that marriage space, I wished that I knew how to be content and be happy in that marriage space at that time. I wish that someone taught me how to, really be fulfilled the best way I could in the marital life. And I did. But that also takes two when you're dealing with a relationship. When you're single, it doesn't take anyone but yourself and God, of course. So it's super, super, super important to be able to enjoy the space that you're in so that when any sort of situation comes around where you'll be tempted with, a relationship or a person, you're willing to embrace and take on that person being your strongest self. We just don't want to get into relationships and jump into relationships because we're feeling vulnerable or we're feeling lonely or we're looking for a void to fill or things like that. We want to get into relationships for the right reasons, that we want to get into relationships when we're feeling completely emotionally ready and physically ready to get into a relationship. We have to be able to be strong enough to handle a relationship because relationships are not easy. It takes a lot of work and a lot of compromise, and you just have to be able to do that. You just have to be able to handle that sort of thing emotionally. So that's what I want to talk about today. It's just like, being single, how to really just embrace the single life the best way you know how to, and how to learn how to if you're not the best at embracing it and looking at it like it's just the worst thing ever. If you see being single like it's the worst thing ever, then this video is for you. I think I'm crazy, the way I've been craving. If I put it quite plainly, just give me the baby. So the first thing that I'm going to say, as you learn to embrace your space of being single, is to get closer to God. Now, I'm a believer in God. I'm a Christian, so I'm going to say get closer to God. If you are not a believer in God, then, do whatever it is that is spiritual for you. It could be meditation. It could be yoga. For me, it's prayer, constantly talking to God all day long. Like, I have conversations with God like as if he is in the car next to me. But like I talk to him like I'm talking to a person. I also have my moments where I'm just praying to him. I'm on my knees and I'm just really in my emotional state with God. So that's really, really important because like one thing I've learned, and one thing I do know that I've experienced my whole entire life. I'm a church baby, so I've experienced this my whole entire life. When you talk to God, when you ask him for the things that you need, he'll provide just that. One thing he will make sure that you have is everything that you need. And as you go through being single, he knows you're single. He knows your heart. He knows the things that you don't need in your life and the things that you need to avoid. And if you are praying and asking God to give you that happiness that you need to be okay with being alone for the time being, he'll give you that. Like, I promise you, he'll give you that. You have to just acknowledge him. So that's super, super, super important. I just had to lead with that. It can be very lonely. It's not that I don't deal with being lonely. I deal with being lonely a lot. And I hate the feeling of loneliness. And it's rare that I feel that way because I do have kids. They're teenagers. They're always around. So it's not like I feel lonely all the time, because even when I'm not desiring a man, my kids fulfill me enough. I usually only feel lonely when they're not around. So if it's just, or if I'm not busy enough, that's when I kind of get into my mode of like, ooh, it would be really nice to have a person right now. Holidays and things like that. That's when it can get really, really bad for me. But stay close to God, talk to Him, ask Him for everything that you need and want, and He'll give it to you. He really will. You'll see that, and it'll be, God has done so much for me. And every time He does it, I'm still like, oh my gosh, like, you're really like looking down on me and thinking about me and doing this thing for me. Let me go on to the next topic before I get emotional, because God, talking about God, it really gets me to that point. So I'm gonna move on. The next thing I'm gonna say is just stay busy. And I mentioned this a little bit on the last thing I mentioned. Stay busy. Like, I cannot express to you how important that is. Like, if you are, and I'm not talking about busy like you get up, you go to work every day, you come home, you make dinner, you watch Netflix. No, I'm talking about like, find you a side hustle. Maybe a few side hustles if you got a lot of time on your hands. Like, if you have kids, like, participate in their extracurricular activities. Start a blog, start a YouTube channel, get a hobby, start crafting, a mom group, start a single ladies group. I mean, whatever. Just something that is going to keep you busy. And I've learned that through that, you might end up finding your passion, but it's something that will take your mind off of thinking about the previous relationship or feeling anxious for the next relationship. And like I said, it's just really, really important, because I'm really a strong believer in your person will come when you least expect it. And it's going to come out of a situation that you least expect, like the person that's right for you. And when that happens, you're going to be ready for that person, because you've done so much work on yourself in that time frame that we're spending like keeping busy and doing things. That's when we like have so much growth within ourselves. Noticing, like, whenever I'm on the hunt and I'm actively looking for a person to be with, that's when I'm getting like all the milk duds, y'all. Like, some really just like not so great guys. And I told you I've been single for 10 years. Now, granted, in this 10 years, just because I'm saying I've been single does not mean I've not had like relations or situationships or sexual relationships with people. I have. I usually always keep somebody on deck. I'm just letting y'all know now. When I say I'm single, that means I'm not in a committed relationship as of yet, and haven't been for 10 years. But I do date, and I've dated the whole time. There's never not been a time that I've not dated. Now, actively dating in a sense of like, going out every weekend, having something to do, like that sort of thing, not actively for 10 years, no. But I mean that I've always had someone that I would like see, whenever I have free time, or just want to do something fun, or just some sort of like person that I can have companionship with whenever I'm not busy. That might be different for other people. Some people who are single or act like are really completely single. They don't talk to nobody. They don't, interact with people. They don't like date, nothing like that. But basically, like, it's super, super, super important just to stay busy, because the more busier you are, the less you'll have time to think about what your current situation is. And is less time to get emotional about it. I said my day to day is busy. I'm not thinking about a relationship usually throughout the day. I mean, I have my moments where I might think about it. And like I said, because I'm usually always talking to somebody, I definitely think about the person that I'm talking to throughout my day, but it's not to the extent of like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What are we? What are we doing? Like, I'll have those thoughts every now and then, but it's not like excessive. And when I start to feel myself having those thoughts, I remind myself that if it's meant to be, it will meant to be. It will be meant to be. If it's not, in time, it will, time will pass, and I will find out, that it's not, something that I need to pursue. So I'm really big on just like letting things go until I start to see signs that it's not me, or it's not something that I need to continue to pursue. and things end up working out anyway. So that's just how I do things. But as far as just like I said, actively telling myself I need to find a person, that's not a thing for me. My person will come when God gives me my person. Now, as I start to get into the period of time where I start to, I'm wanting to really have a more long-term relationship, I am approaching that period of time in my life. And so my conversations with God are a little bit different now. So now I'm starting to pray for my person. I don't know when you'll send me my person. Lord, I'm very patient with it. Just when you send him, please make sure that he is a really good guy. You know what I have need of, and I need someone in my life that will compliment me in the best way possible. You know what I've gone through in my life, so I just really need someone who is going to be a great compliment to my life and to my kids' life. So that those are things that I have, conversations with God when I'm talking about, when I'm ready for that person to come into my life. But like I said, I'm not active with it. I'm not like on the hunt. For me personally, I believe in organic meetings where I might be on vacation or out and about, or mutual friend, like where I meet someone that way. Like that's how I think that I'll meet my person. Yeah, for me, I'm not in a rush. Like I've been single for a long time, and I've really gotten very much so accustomed to being single. So that's just where I am right now. The next thing is spending time with people. So that's also another thing, that kind of will fall into the stay busy category. Like if you have family, if you have friends, if you have coworkers, I mean, like I can't stress enough how important it is to be interactive. If you're the type of person who is in the house all the time watching TV shows, like you're setting yourself up for failure right now, especially considering that it is February, it is Valentine's Day month, and freaking they just dropped a new season of Love is Blind. Like, come on. If you sit in the house just like, super binge watching that, which I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it. I'm about to watch it probably tonight. But for me, I'm a little bit stronger than I think most women who are single. That's just because I've done this thing for a while, and I've been doing it for a while, and I've gotten very, very comfortable with it. But literally, so many women I know are not there yet. So if your day to day, night to night is staying in the house watching TV, you need to get out more. You need to have more to do. You need to find something to do. Like I said, interacting with people. If you're an extroverted person, maybe, try one day a week going out and interacting with people, whether it's friends, family, coworkers, and then maybe get online, maybe join some sort of online community where you're able to make friends or have groups and talk about things like movies or makeup or I don't know, whatever. So that's really, really, really important. And I'll just use myself for an example. Like outside of the things that I do for my kids every day and that I do for myself every day, the one thing that I've been doing for myself to keep myself busy and preoccupied is this channel. It's a very new YouTube channel. Well, it's not a new YouTube channel. It's been around for some years, but it's new for me in the sense of like these are new topics I'm covering, new videos. I had other videos on here. I deleted a lot of those videos, and I wanted to start fresh in 2024 with really going hard on my YouTube. And this keeps me hella busy. Like y'all, like I really underestimated the amount of time and effort and work that goes into what YouTubers do. Like it's easy to record a video and then post it, but when you consider all the editing and all the settings and all the marketing that you have to learn to be able to do this, it's a lot of work. So for me, that's actually been keeping me busy in the best way. Because one thing that I want to be able to do through being single or this single journey for me is really level up myself so that when I'm in a relationship, when that man comes, I am not only emotionally available and ready to be with a person, but I am financially able to as well. That's something that we always have as a request for men, to make sure that they're financially stable and where they need to be. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. Like I don't think that a man should be actively pursuing women if he's not where he needs to be financially. And I feel the same for women. Maybe not to the level of financial stability that a man needs to be, considering that, when a man is dating, he typically is the person who is, covering most things. And that's what a lot of women expect. But for women, I think it's important to have our own, you know? I don't want to be in a relationship where I don't have my own identity. I don't have my own things. I don't have my own account. I don't have my own career. That's not what I want, me personally. That might be different for different women, but for me personally, it's not for me. So I want to make sure that while I'm single, I'm learning to, you know, have a life and create a life and an identity outside of my person's life. Another thing, and I mentioned this before, is what a lot of people fail to do while being single is dating. um, so you're single, right? Whether you're newly single, whether you've been single for a long time, like, you're free to date. You're free to date. You're free to be physical with whoever it is that you want to be physical with. You're free to, have several dates if you want to. If you want to be a serial dater, you can do that. If you want to be a casual dater where you maybe date once or twice a month, you could do that. For me, I've done the casual dating. I've never been a serial dater because I actually don't enjoy. I like building a connection first. For me, I like to, like I said, either meet people organically, or in the beginning, I started doing the online dating thing, the apps, which no longer, the apps are not for me. But, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But like for me, that's what I was doing in the beginning, was doing the apps. And, I would go through, like talking to different people online, and then whichever one I seem to have the best connection with, then we would start, inboxing each other on the app, and then we would exchange numbers and go from exchanging numbers to talking for a couple of weeks, and then we might set our first date. So for me, I just like that. I like to build the connection first, and I just do one at a time typically. But it's really, really important to date, because if you're single and you want to be single and you want to maintain being single for as long as you can, and you don't have any interest in being in a relationship, that's fine. Like I said, people really, really confuse the idea that being single means that you are not seeing anyone at all. Like, no, it means that you're not in a committed relationship. That's what it means to be single. You are not committed to anyone, nor are you looking to commit to anyone in this moment. Not to say that that might not change in a week or two or a month or whatever. It just means that you are single and you are dating. Some people are single and are not dating. I know a few women who are single, 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 and they are not dating. They are not looking to date. They're not physically, sexually active. None of that. They just like focusing on their careers and their jobs, and that's completely fine too. However, me personally, I always say you should definitely be seeing someone, dating, because for me, I do think that balance is important, right? I don't think an extreme of anything is a good thing. So, for instance, if I was an extreme dater and I'm like constantly, dating people all the time, left and right, that's not enough time to build a connection, and there's too many people to juggle, so that's not good. That's not good for anyone. Same thing if you're single and you're not seeing anyone, you're not interacting with anyone, and you're not, it's okay to not be physically, physical with anyone. But I also think you need that. That's another video though, because I'm gonna talk about why it's important to have an orgasm and release those endorphins, because that is important. But I just think that when you're not doing anything, that is extreme. So too much of anything is a bad thing. So definitely it's important to date, even if it's every now and then. Like, just have, somebody that you could talk to, have, things that you can do with people, even if it's just like you met a guy and you guys only have time to see each other once a month. That's perfectly fine. Or maybe you have a guy that you travel with and y'all don't see each other every day, but y'all go out of town like every, 3 months or something and meet up with each other. That's fine too. And I'm gonna be honest, that's been my wave lately, where I have someone that I see doesn't live in the same city as me, and we just meet up every few months or so, and we hang out, we spend our time with each other, and we go our separate ways. That's just something that works for me right now, just because my life is my priorities right now is in my everyday life are my children and trying to level up in my career. I could date someone in town, but for me, for what I'm doing right now, I think that it will be too much of a distraction. I have done that and it's not bad. It's just that I just feel like it would be a little bit of a distraction for me right now. So I actually enjoy, just taking trips with the boo thing every now and then, and, coming back home to my life so that my everyday is my own. That's just me right now. That's important for me. And like I said, that might be something that changes in, a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. But that's just the way that I'm on right now. I think also while you're being single, like a big thing is just to start like reading books. I'm not a big book reader, but lately I have been. And I think it's really, really important because reading just takes you away from social media, number one. It gives you a piece of like serenity and inner peace. You're reading, you're able to escape with fantasy if it's a fictional book. If it's a self-help book, then you're learning from that self-help book. And it just gives you a sense of just like you're taking your mind off things, you know? Like I am a storybook person, so for me I like stories. So whenever I read, it just really just helps me escape the reality. And that's something really enjoyable for me. And I learned so much from it. So, things that I have not experienced myself, I'm able to experience through books. And it allows me to learn so much. And if it's a self-help book, also, like I said, you're learning and you're getting so much information that is so helpful for you and for your future. And I just think all of that can just be ways that will help change your mindset so that you're not looking at being single as a chore or a curse or anything like that, because I really feel like being single is something to embrace, and I want everyone to feel as happy about it as I do. Another thing is to learn to compartmentalize. So when you are single, it's so, so important to compartmentalize. And I mean that like when you're dating, if you're with someone and you're spending time with someone, spend time with someone. Give that person your attention, your all, your everything, especially if you're dating to find a person. When you're not dating, when you're not with that person, it's okay to think about a person, and have them brush your thoughts throughout the day. But you do not want to become so obsessive over this one person that your everyday becomes, oh my God, wake up, think about this person. Throughout the day, I'm thinking about this person. Oh, at night, I'm thinking about this person. Oh my gosh, I got to text this person before I go to bed. Like it's just constant. You know what I mean? Sometimes that can be a little bit obsessive in the dating phase. I really believe in just kind of letting things kind of go at the pace that they're going to go. But also making sure that you prioritize yourself and your activities and your things that you have to do all day. You don't want to be that woman that's just waiting by the phone for someone to text. You're not enjoying being single at that moment. What you're doing is you're obsessing over a guy that, you just went out on a date with, and you're probably going to ruin it because you're being too needy and too obsessive and all of that. So you really have to learn how to separate your worlds. So if you're spending time with your kids, focus on your kids. If you're spending time with your friends, that's their time. If you're spending time with yourself, that's your time. If you're spending time with God, that's his time. If you're spending time with your guy friend, that's his time. So you see what I'm saying? That's so important. Like it's so important. And it's something that's been able to help me so, 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 so much. And like I said, I'm not like such a professional at it that it's not like I don't think about the people that I'm seeing throughout the day. I do. But the minute that I find myself dwelling on a person too long, then I'm like, oh, girl, come on. What are you doing? You got stuff to do. We got to do this, and this. And we don't have time to be like sitting here like thinking about this guy all day long. Like, he's a nice guy, but no, like I really have to get back to the hustle. I have things to do. We are not living in a world where, things are cheap. And if we're single, guess what? We are paying for our own things. We don't have people just giving us things. We don't have people paying our bills. I mean, you might have it like that, but I don't have it like that. So I don't have time to be sitting here wondering and thinking about someone when I have to pay for my own things. So that's super 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 important to compartmentalize, and just to train and discipline yourself on how much time and thought and energy you're going to give to the person that you're dating. And like I said, when he's in your presence, he deserves your attention 100%. And when he's not in your presence, it's okay to think about him. But like I said, you don't want to be to the point where you're obsessing. That's not cute. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to say is just to be single with a purpose. So you hear people say date with a purpose, right? Or, you should always have some sort of purpose for whatever it is that you do in life. Being single deserves that same purpose. You should always have a purpose with being single. So what I mean by that, and I've said this earlier in the video, like when you're single, you want to make sure that you have a plan for that singleness. So say you're newly out of a relationship. And this wasn't something that I knew right away. Honestly, I didn't learn this until maybe 2 years ago, where I was like, okay, while I'm sitting here without a man, I need to be learning XYZ. So yeah, make a plan. The minute that you are out of that relationship and you decide, okay, this is what it is, whether it was something that you wanted or not, tell yourself, okay, well, I'm alone. So now I have to learn how to be alone. And while I'm alone, I might as well learn how to do this or learn how to do that, or, get my budget together, or maybe get my money right, or maybe, try for this promotion, or maybe, try to open up this business or whatever. Whatever it is that you feel like you need to do, get to it, make a plan. And like I said, making sure you put all of these things into motion that I talked about in this video is super, super important. And that is part of the plan. So decide okay, what kind of single person are you going to be? What kind of time are you going to give to dating? What kind of time are you going to give to family, friends, to yourself? And make sure that you're waking up every day with the purpose to fulfill those goals. And I'm telling you, those are all things that will make being single so much better. Because then you no longer have expectations of anyone. You're not waiting around for, Josh to show up at the door with flowers. You're just not. It's more so I want flowers. Maybe I'll go to the farmer's market on Sunday. And that's just what it is. We can all live in a dreamland and wish and hope and pray that dreamland is just going to come knocking at the door. But that's not reality. So if we do want our special person, we do have to be active. So we cannot be single and not be active. But we don't want to be overactive. Okay. But we also don't want to sit here stagnant and not learn and grow while in this experience. So I hope you got something from this. Like I said, this is a video or a topic that I feel like is super, super important. It's something that I have gotten really, really used to for myself. And I take so much pride in it, of the space that I'm in right now. And I really hope that it's something that you can take in and learn and grow from yourself. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And I hope you learned something, and I hope that I can continue to give you some good information. And don't forget to like and comment, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.